Welcome to the Sustainability Spotlights, the podcast uniting the best in product sustainability. I'm your host, Lavanya, the co founder and CEO of Carboledger. In this podcast, we delve into the fascinating world of product sustainability in the chemical industry and explore how we can bring the exchange of product carbon footprints in line with the exchange of financial data. In each episode, we'll be engaging in insightful conversations with the best sustainability leaders in the chemical industry. Together, we'll explore topics such as carbon accounting, eco friendly innovations, sustainable supply chains, and much more. Our aim is to uncover the challenges faced by the industry, share success stories, and inspire our listeners with practical strategies that can be implemented on a broader scale. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Marilyn Johnson, a renowned sustainability leader in the industry. Marilyn brings with her a wealth of experience in tackling sustainability challenges with an impressive track record of over 20 years in the field. She currently serves as the Chief Sustainability and Communications Leader at Arxada, a leading organization at the forefront of sustainable practices. Marilyn, welcome to the podcast. We are delighted to have you here today.
Thank you, Lavanya. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right. Let's dive right into our discussion. Deriving from your rich experience working in the field, Marilyn, what do you think are the challenges associated with product level carbon footprint data?
That is a great question because everyone's trying to tackle this right now. It's a very hot topic. There's probably a few issues that I see, and probably the number one is just the availability of data. It's very challenging to get, and we're all dependent on one another. When we talk about product carbon footprint, it's a supply chain challenge. And there's everything from the raw materials extraction through the manufacturing, the transport, the use, the disposal. So there's a lot of players. When you think about supply chain, there's a lot of people involved. So as a chemicals company, we're really looking at trying to approach it from a life cycle mindset and methodology. I think also, even if you do have data, the quality of the data can be challenging. It's difficult to get. So there might be a lot of estimations or, people trying to get good data, but it may not quite be there yet. And with the global players and the challenges of getting that data, and also in a timely fashion, there's also a real world challenge of how manufacturing happens. So you might have a product and a certain supplier, but you might have multiple suppliers, and those suppliers may manufacture what they manufacture in different ways, and their feedstocks may change, or you might have to change your supply chain. So there's a lot of moving parts. So it's not as simple as just filling out the boxes and having a number. That can change. So that's also a very real world challenge. So those are some of them. There's also the need for both direct and indirect emission data. Probably most of us have a better handle on the direct emissions, the things that we actually can control. When we talked about indirect emissions, we're still working in a world of estimates. So there may be, a challenge with regards to overcounting or undercounting because of the estimations. I think on the upside, companies may find that as they're able to get more specific data, that they might have better footprints, lower footprints. So those are some of the key challenges. Also, we're still lacking standardization in how the data is expected to be collected. There are, ISO 14040, 14044. There's some guidance out there, but there's multiple. So it may not always be apples to apples when people are trying to collect and compare data. So there's just a lot of complexities and a lot of players. So I think those are really, there's a lot of challenges to it. However, that doesn't mean that we can't start reducing our carbon footprint, even if we aren't 100% sure on how to measure everything down to the final decimal point.
Right. That's fascinating, and it's evident that data, the quality of it, and bringing everyone in the supply chain together through means of standardization are the key. Marilyn, can you share a specific success story highlighting Arxada's approach and achievements in reducing the carbon footprint of its products?
Yeah, That's an interesting question. We're a very young company, relatively speaking. We're still 2 years young. However, we do have a legacy that goes back 100 years. So we are still getting our arms around product carbon footprinting like many companies. We have a lot of requests from our customers for this information. But that isn't stopping us from taking action towards reduction. So I mentioned earlier direct and indirect emissions. So our focus has been on our direct emissions. And in our largest facility in Visp, Switzerland, there was a project started a few years ago to reduce the emissions associated with our manufacturing process. So that helps to reduce not only our emissions, our direct emissions, it helps with reducing what we manufacture and then send out to our customers. So de facto, we end up reducing that. However, we aren't measuring product carbon footprint at the moment. We know that has an impact on the product's carbon footprint. We also are looking at, we've implemented a new methodology. It's the World Business Council for Sustainable Development Portfolio Sustainability Assessments. And that's a holistic kind of life cycle mentality approach into looking at our products and formulations. And one of the things that we are seeing as an opportunity is when we look at raw material sourcing, for example, in our personal care line, there's a product where it looks like we have a raw material that might be an alternative source that has an increased reduction in the carbon footprint of that raw material. So there is action underway. However, the measurement of our product carbon footprinting hasn't quite begun yet. That's in our roadmap for sure.
Right. That's inspiring, Marilyn, and it's fascinating how you brought in the concept of life cycle assessment to achieving the reduction of your carbon footprints, because in that way we are able to not only look at what is available at our end, but also look at a more holistic picture of what can we do to improve the raw materials that we are procuring. So this gives me a great segue to my final question, because that we're looking at bringing the whole supply chain together. I want to ask you, how do you envision technology to contribute to improving product carbon footprint calculations?
Well, like everything in our society, technology is going to play a key role. In particular, what we're talking about here is data. In previous work, for about 15 years, I've worked in data analytics and information services companies where big data is a big deal. we are processing a lot of data in our world. And when we talk about product carbon footprinting, it's all about the data, how we source it, share it, making sure that it's reliable, that it's correct, that it's current, that it's accurate. So we can't rely on Excel spreadsheets. We love Excel, but we need to be a little more mature on that. So I think technology is going to be the linchpin to enable more accurate data and the analysis of the data, which then can drive better decision making. So this is going to require collaboration, but I really believe that kind of rising tide raises all boats. So having platforms and having the technology to handle huge amounts of data, the sharing of data in a way that protects privacy, but yet is still transparent. That's a little bit of a challenge as well. But there's the Internet of Things and different devices that can help with accuracy of data. There's automated sensors that can help with accuracy of data. There's also obviously AI, machine learning. There's a lot of pieces of technology that are going to help support. I envision maybe 5 years, for sure 10. But by 2030, I think this is going to be table stakes. I think we are going to know the product carbon footprint of everything, just like we know the price of something. So I think that's where we're headed. But right now it's kind of like the Wild West. We're trying to figure out how this is going to happen. There's a lot of platforms out there claiming to be able to do this or help do this, but I don't think that we're there yet. I think blockchain is going to play a role because it's going to be able to be very specific. But again, it's going to take time for that to be implemented and for everyone to understand how that fits into their business models and their approaches. So at the end of the day, tech is going to be critical. I'm just not sure how exactly that's going to play out, but I think that without it, we're only going to make incremental progress on this.
Right. That's That's very, very insightful, and thank you for sharing your insights, Marilyn. It's evident that technology is going to bring all the data together, and it has immense potential in driving sustainability efforts, which are timely and going to help the world meet the sustainability targets. That concludes this episode of the Sustainability Spotlights. We have had the privilege of diving into the challenges, success stories, and the role of technology in measuring and reducing product carbon footprints. Join us in the next episode as we continue to unravel the complexities of sustainable practices in the chemical industry, learning from experts who are driving positive change and forging a path towards a greener future. Remember, every product we buy has a story to tell, and we are here to uncover the carbon balance sheets behind them. Thank you for tuning in, and take care until next time.